Welcome everybody to our first ever episode of the Charlie and Cara Show. We are so excited to be here with you today, and it feels so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Speechless. Just so excited for what we're bringing you guys and to be on this journey, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just set a lovely little intention before we started recording, just so we could both be completely surrendered and just open to whatever needs to come through to help all of you and whatever needs to show up, and be guided through Cara's coaching and through my questions, so that it is really beneficial and healing for all of us listening and all of us involved.
Yeah.
So as we explained in the introduction, just to recap on that, this is a dynamic where I'm essentially the voice of the audience, the person that is needing the coaching and that is asking the questions, being the seeker of tools and knowledge, on behalf of myself and for everyone else that's stuck with the same things as me. And Cara is here as our professional expert coach who will be guiding me through different topics every week so that we're all getting this live coaching. So as I'm getting coached, you all at home that are listening are getting coached. And that's why it's so important that you write into us or message us on Instagram, because we can just keep unfolding and diving into different topics of your choice. So that's the really cool thing about this, is we're super open. But we do have some structure. And today, the very first one is vulnerability and awareness, because before we go any further into tools and
into this whole experience.
Exactly. We need to have the strength to be vulnerable and be aware of our triggers, our habits, our things that are in the way, causing us misery or suffering or lack of confidence or whatever is in our way. We need to bring that to the surface, and then we can look at it all and then see how we can unpack it all.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason I'm so passionate about vulnerability and awareness, and like anyone who knows me, I'm always talking about awareness. I feel like I'm a broken record on that one, but
it's a good broken record. We need it.
I just feel like for the vulnerability piece, so many of us, and myself included, spend so long you know, being afraid of showing our true selves, and we're like, what are they going to think of me? You know, what if people don't like me, if I say the wrong thing? All of those overthinking, and that it ties into our self-worth, it ties into our confidence, all the things you just mentioned too, and how when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and we really just say, hey, this is who I am
and what I'm feeling,
this is what I'm feeling, or these are the things I've experienced, or this is what I'm working through, we give ourselves permission to just show up as ourselves. And
we get liberation.
Yes. It allows the freedom when we're interacting with others. And I just feel like vulnerability, as Brene Brown says, is such a strength. And that's like one of the most courageous things we can do, is be vulnerable in a world that is constantly judging or criticizing or questioning,
trying to change us, put us down. And I think to add to that with the vulnerability, so for myself, if I'm not vulnerable or prepared to show up fully as myself, then how can I live a happy life? Because all of my suffering and all of my kind of people-pleasing ways, or trying to impress, or trying to say the right thing to fit in, and not fully showing up how I feel in that moment, it leads to lack of freedom, not feeling happy, not feeling present, the opposite of liberation. And we want to get to the joy state. We want to have as happier and most blissful lives as we possibly can, given even through the struggles, even through the difficult life, because it will always be challenge at times, but is to access as much joy and happiness as much as we can.
When you're avoiding your true self, you are creating a prison.
Yes.
And then you are people pleasing, or you're constantly criticizing, judging yourself, feeling more insecurity. So actually being vulnerable and having the strength and courage to say who I am is enough, and how I'm showing up today is enough, and I'm going to just present this openly to the world, that really breaks you out of that prison, and you're finally able to just show up, just be, and have that joy.
Yeah, and it's so powerful. Whenever I see someone just so confident in who they are, just showing up, even if it's embarrassing, even if it's super deep and vulnerable, even if they look maybe a bit silly to an outsider, I love it. I am so drawn to people, and I respect people so much when they're like, this is who I am, or this is what I feel right now, even if it's messy, even if it's ugly, even if it feels cringy. I admire it so much. And just so you guys can have a bit of context, for any of you that are similar to me, be under no illusion that I have created a gigantic prison for myself. And that is a huge part of why Cara and I came together in the first place. Is Cara is here to help people like me and you that are stuck in our own minds, stuck feeling like we can't fully be ourselves because we won't be liked, or will be abandoned, or we have to impress, or we have to constantly be our best selves the entire time. So this journey through this podcast and the other things Cara and I are creating for everyone is really the journey back home to just be comfortable in who we are at all times, so that we can have the confidence and the freedom to enjoy this gift, because we don't know how long we've got. So it's like, it makes me laugh sometimes, like, because otherwise I'll cry, and I do that too. Because we've got this one life, and it's like we could be gone, we don't know, a week, a month, a year, 100 years. But yet we sabotage it for ourselves. We don't fully embrace it or enhance it or really cherish it. We are constantly trying to just like keep things certain, secure, safe,
and playing a role. I think that's the piece where, when you are vulnerable, when you give yourself permission, and really in terms of like tangible tools, one of the biggest thing is honestly just giving yourself permission to feel that you are enough as you are.
Instead of relying on someone else to give it to you.
Exactly. And realizing that instead of wearing a mask and playing a role that you think you need to play, or how you feel everyone expects you to be, you're
always going to prefer you to be.
You're going, you know what? This is who I am, this is how I'm showing up, and I'm taking off that mask, or removing those layers or those boundaries or whatever it is, and just showing up as yourself. And that is going to look different to every single one of us, and it's not going to there's no comparison necessarily, there's no way to necessarily gauge it on this universal spectrum. It is just about you tapping into yourself and going, okay, here's what I'm bringing forward, and I'm gonna go with it and just put it out there.
And the more you feel like practice that and feel comfortable doing that, so I'm just starting to practice at the moment, and it's really uncomfortable. I can watch myself like going into this other role, or like the bubbly version of me, because that's more liked, or what I think is more liked. Or I have to always be interesting or say something, and actually like to try and just be comfortable in my own skin in that mood I'm in at the time is really uncomfortable for me. Gigantic people pleaser, recovering people pleaser. And I know a lot of you out there have the same, because I've spoken to so many girlfriends and just friends in general that suffer with this. And if we can just give ourselves permission, like you said, that would be such a dream come true for me. And I'm sure it would be for so many of you, because it sucks to feel so self-conscious all the time. It's exhausting. I have gotten to the point where I needed this shift lately. Thank you to you, Cara, because I was literally feeling exhausted from keeping up this kind of appearance of not showing how I really feel, or in case it was rejected. And I love it when I see a woman or a man standing in their power, when they literally don't care if you like them or not. That's the sweet spot. And not in a mean, egoic way. Just in a way of like, this is who I am. This is my life. I give myself permission to be me in each moment. I've got this, I claim my life back as my own. I don't need other people to validate me. I don't need other people to tell me I'm good enough. I choose that. I choose me. And it's radiant and contagious when I see that. And I really want that for all of us, that don't have it.
You're like drawn in like a magnet. It's that level of confidence and that assurance of just like solidarity in who they are.
And they're like, take it or leave it,
it is what it is.
And sure enough, people take it. People actually want to be around them because it's so powerful.
That's exactly what I was just wanting to lead into, because when we feel scared of being vulnerable, as like I have felt many times too, I think what helped me realize that it's safe is that the second you're vulnerable and you open up and share something, you have literally made this deep connection with that person or those people around you that you wouldn't have otherwise had if you tried to keep it in yourself. So you are actually not only freeing yourself, but then you're creating even better connections with everyone.
Oh, I love that. And it's so true. It's amazing how many times I've seen people open up on like retreats or just in a group. And then all the other people that were thinking it but didn't want to say it are like, oh my God, me too. Or like, same. And then they want to talk to you afterwards. They're like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one. I'm feeling exactly the same, or I had a similar experience. It's so uniting. Like you said, it's super bonding. And it just gives everyone permission to be like, you know what? If he can do it and she can do it, I can do it, you know? If they're owning it, I want to own it. Like, it's really nice to watch.
Yeah, I think... Sorry, I needed to...
How dare you cough on this show? You know, you can be yourself. Cara was going to like press pause to cough, but I'm going to put it out there right now. This is a natural, organic show. This is the non-filtered stuff right here. Gonna happen. We're gonna like need to drink water, human. And we're being human, exactly. And just to quickly touch on that, that's something I want you guys all to just be comfortable with and expect, is that I personally don't want to be the whole like, because I'm certainly far from it anyway, the prim, proper, perfect, you know, have it all perfectly edited and just have the best parts. I want all of the human experience in this, and it's an illusion when you see things perfectly put together anyway on Instagram or whatever, because it's not good for people at home to watch, because their perception is then warped of everything has to be perfect. But it's especially if we're encouraging to show up, like that's what's really important to Cara and I, is to constantly show up as ourselves, even if it is awkward or, you know, but we're human, and that's the whole point, is let's encourage being human. Let's encourage the moments where you're breaking down, crying, or you don't have a perfect day, or you say the wrong thing, or you make a mistake. Like we need to remember that that's part of it, and not have to be these perfect beings that I feel like my whole life I've had to be a perfect being because of the media. And so we're gonna break that shit.
Thank you
You're welcome.
I needed that. Where I was thinking too, to bring in, I'd love to bring in like a mini homework for everyone listening.
Yes, please.
Around vulnerability.
Love a bit of homework. Action steps.
Yeah, I think all of us have something that maybe we feel is like a deep, dark secret, or it's something that we've struggled with for a long time that maybe we haven't shown fully. We have just been carrying it on our own. And so this isn't about like necessarily going out and shouting from the rooftops, but I'd love to invite all of you out there listening to, whether it's reaching out to a friend, or whether it's like a family member, or maybe it's even just clicking post on something that was super vulnerable and from the heart, and you've been sitting there being like, oh, I don't know,
shall I, shan't I?
Yeah, what are people gonna say? And you've been scared or intimidated. Doing like one thing that is a bit vulnerable for you, that puts yourself out there, and then see how you feel, and like then connect with us on Instagram, share what comes up for you, because I know for me, one of the biggest and like the bravest first steps for me with vulnerability was posting a crying selfie on Instagram for like a mental health day.
I love that.
And it was
more
terrifying,
of that, please. Yeah.
But the second I did it, I had actually ended up with like hundreds of comments of people relating or sharing their own stories, and it just really opened the door where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone in this, and everyone like look at what is being created by just this honesty.
The power of vulnerability. I just got chills as I said that, because it is just so backwards how it's been with having to be a certain way and strong and always together and composed. It's such a big thing in this day and age, is composure, and that is the wrong signals, because we're not always going to be composed. This is extremely, the human experience is extremely strange and miraculous and hard and beautiful and weird and wonderful, and sad and joyous all at the same time. So it's we've got to remember to put all the good parts and the bad parts out there, show all of our weak moments as well as our strong. And I love that you did that, because again, look what it created, so much connection. I'm sure so many people, based off your post, then had the courage to then share something with someone else, and you know, it's contagious. It opens up. So
exactly. So there's your little homework for you guys listening.
Yes. And that's the best way, like for me, with all of my like strong habits of the mind that dominate my life, you know, and that's why I'm on this journey myself, and that's why I wanted to do this out loud, because it's been so much unnecessary suffering because of my perception, my beliefs, my overthinking, my insecurities. It is time to break that, and that's why this journey begins now. For anyone that's not on it yet, or is on it and then just continuing, jump on, because
join us.
We need to overcome so we can be free again, you know. And for me, with such a like strong muscle and strong habits that we all have, you know, this is a lifelong of habits and conditionings and years, exactly. So it's like hardcore ingrained in the mind. And so things like what Cara just suggested is so imperative to maintain and keep up the practice. So for me, another exercise Cara taught me to do was, every time I have a negative thought, is replacing it, get a bracelet, take it off one hand, put it on the other hand, and replace that negative thought with something positive. Excuse me. And it's retraining how you do things. It's reminding yourself to go the opposite way. If something's not working for you, try a self-worth positive thought rather than a put yourself down, beat yourself up thought. And before you know it, it becomes the new normal. Yeah,
I feel like that's a perfect merging of vulnerability into awareness. And I was literally just thinking, like, how are we going to get there?
You're so synced up.
I was like, how are we going to get there? And then you took us. So
Boom.
Thank you.
Of course.
I think with vulnerability, we've been trained that that's a bad thing. And my heart breaks for the male community as well, because look at how they've been trained with emotions and like vulnerability and weakness, crying, all these negative connotations. But for society in general, we have been programmed to think a certain way. And so with training that into vulnerability is a strength. It is empowering. It's opening doors, creating connection. It's bringing freedom. All of those things are retraining. And leading that into our awareness, that's where the power of our thoughts is just crucial, because every single thought that we're thinking is impacting our body, mind, and spirit. And if we're thinking or fueling those negative thoughts or those doubts or anxieties or insecurities, that's what we're going to be creating more of and we're becoming what we're living. Yeah. So the awareness around where are you giving your power, and how can we shift that into a way that's actually going to support you and help you thrive, versus keeping you stuck in a struggle, in a prison.
Definitely. It's all about, it's that whole thing of how can we make it work for ourselves? Like how can we get it to work? And it was typical giant bloody helicopters going by. You probably can't hear it, but just in case. So once again, I've forgotten what I was going to say, which is really useful.
Talking about awareness.
Yes, but
training.
So I would love you to explain a little bit for those of us, because this took me literally my whole life until maybe the last 2 years to grasp this concept that we are not our thoughts. And I read this fantastic book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, which
beautiful.
Is so beautiful. I highly recommend it for those that haven't read it. And since I've realized that I'm not my thoughts, it has massively changed the game for me. And although it's still an ongoing battle for me to overcome and not pay attention to the thoughts or believe the thoughts, the fact that I realised they're not me, it's not who I am, they're not really mine, they are frequencies and thoughts that just come into our mind. And the one thing that really helped me, I was on set one day, I was on Hollywood Medium, and one of the producers, I was having a bit of a hard day, and Tyler was inside doing a reading, and I was kind of like really going for it in the car, just like sat there having a lot of doubt and like really confused and like questioning everything. And one of the producers was like, Well, do you believe your thoughts? That's the real question.
Yeah.
Do you believe your thoughts? Which ones do you believe? And I was like, oh, wow.
Boom.
Boom, because we can't help which
Yeah.
ones come in, but what we can help is once they enter our brain or our awareness, oh, is this a good thought for me? Do I want to change that? Do I believe this to be true? Is this something I want to continue with on my life, or do I want to change?
Entertain this
Yeah.
thought, or
Yeah.
you become the filter. And I
Right.
love that you brought that up, and that's such a beautiful example, because we do identify so strongly with our thoughts, and that's another part of the programming. I think we just all assume that that's who we are.
Yeah.
And it's when you start to have that awareness, that mindfulness practice, to see that there's actually a separation. So when you close your eyes and you have thoughts running through, you can see and like feel those thoughts, but then you are still the observer. You're the person or the being behind them.
Noticing them go by,
Noticing them
observing.
go. And one of the teachings I loved from Osho is
I love a bit of Osho.
Yeah, me too. All about the white cloud. So it's like you are the blue sky, and the thoughts are the clouds. And so this cloud is going to move on by. It's going to pass. You can cling to it, and like then
and
it
resist
becomes,
it or become it.
Yeah, and then it becomes all encompassing, right? Like the more you focus and cling and attach to a certain thought, the bigger it becomes. That cloud's getting bigger. It's like this dark, stormy cloud
until
now,
it's a dominating thought.
until it's everything. Or you can let that cloud pass by, let that thought run through, observe it, separate and detach, choose not to be it.
Or not to believe it or buy into it. Yeah.
And then you get to continue your day as the blue sky and be
As the
free,
cloud just
and
drifts away.
The cloud goes past.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And just to further that, would you go into like identifying where the thought's coming from for all of our viewers? Or would you just kind of be like, right, it's come up, I don't really like this thought or want to believe it, or I don't believe it to be true, so I'm going to move on? Or do you think it's helpful to go, this actually is probably a condition from my mum, or this is not really me, this is just what I read in the media, and it's social media has done this to me where I think this has to be perfect or look a certain way. Do you think that's helpful, or do you prefer to go straight for the...
Personally, I love to look for the root cause of it, so that it's easier to like debunk the myth.
Let go of.
Because you're like, wait a minute, this isn't actually true. This is just a thought
or a fear
from childhood. Or I remember my mom always said that, or my dad, or a teacher like lectured me about this, and I attached to it and felt it so strongly that I became that story. I became that thought. So I think that's the awareness allows you to realize you're not your thoughts, and then uncover where are they coming from, and is this serving me? So similar to your example, is like, what am I choosing to believe, and is this actually helping me? Because if I'm choosing to believe that I'm not enough, or that I'm stupid, or I'm ugly, is that helping me in any area of my life?
Right. What's that even going to achieve?
Yeah.
Nothing positive.
Yeah. So, and where's it coming from? Like, oh, it came from this experience in childhood.
Yeah.
And then it was reaffirmed in these different times.
Yeah.
And I fueled it myself even more. So then I made it stronger. And so all of that awareness allows you to separate and start to go, I'm going to choose a different thought and choose what I want to believe, and know it might not happen overnight, but the awareness is something you can start cultivating immediately to start making those steps forward.
Yeah, I love that. And actually to start controlling, actually I don't like that word, but to start having a say in how our day goes, rather than our mind just dictating our every action, our every feeling. We actually, our souls and us, claim that back as like, no, I want to have a really good day today. I have no idea how long I'm going to have left on the planet. I choose to have a great day. So anything that's not serving me, anything that's negative or bringing me down, getting in my way, stopping me going after my dreams, blocking me from happiness and love, I'm going to choose to keep that in check and get gain the power back from my mind rather than the mind dominating me.
Yeah.
So
keep being that filter and bringing yourself back to what is actually serving me, what's going to empower me, what's helping me reach my dreams or my goals, what's helping me make today a great day.
Yeah.
It's even like the power we have when we wake up in the morning of, are you getting up super excited about the things you get to do, or are you waking up with negative thoughts fueling like, oh, I have to do this thing, I have to do that, and making everything a burden
and a chore and giving yourself a hard time before you even started.
You're not going to enjoy any of it.
Yeah.
Or if you choose to fuel the more positive ones, you're going to notice, oh, the sun is out, oh, there's like pretty birds flying, oh, I keep hitting all the green lights on the way to work, and you create this positive upward spiral.
It's that whole thing of you get what you focus on, right? So where your focus and attention goes is kind of what you notice more of. So if we start with that gratitude space, then there's that upward spiral, because everything is energy. You are more likely to have that momentum of positivity rather than everything going wrong.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really powerful, because it will take time, and it's not like you're gonna go. We have anywhere, I think they say anywhere from like 70,000 to like 90,000 thoughts a day or something.
I definitely think I have 180. There's just no question.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, you can vouch for that. For us overthinkers out there, it's tough.
Yeah, I think I probably had like that many for most of my life, and then I was like, this is too much.
You've probably got now like 40. You like I don't know if anyone's noticed, but what I love, my favourite thing about Cara, and actually she's even sped it up, would you believe, for this podcast, but Cara talks so slowly that her spirit animal that she claimed is a sloth.
Yes.
And it's perfect for her. I found this out yesterday. And but what I love about that, you are owning it.
Me.
You are owning it. I own it. You are owning it. And what I love is that just is such an indication that your mind is really calmed down. You're not having these really fast thinking, obsessive thoughts like some of us around here.
Yeah.
And I think that's really telling in how people communicate.
And I think what I want just everyone to realize, and why I'm so passionate about talking about the mindset work, is that I used to be that way. I used to be the extreme overthinker with a million thoughts, crazy anxious, crazy insecure.
And now look at you.
Now,
guys, there's hope. There's hope for us all.
Yeah, so I just want everyone to realize that with that work, with that awareness and that consistent practice, you can get to that place. Yeah. So it really is, it is a journey, but like
100%
I could never
possible.
have imagined getting to this place, and I'm so glad that I continued to make the effort, because it's so worth it when you get there.
Oh,
so like,
yes.
Keep the faith.
Yes, I love it. Oh, amazing. Is there anything else that you want to share or bring up around awareness and vulnerability before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I would love to just add in one part you mentioned of one of my favorite tools.
Yeah.
So another takeaway for everyone listening out there is, I learned this from a book called A Complaint-Free World by Will Bowen, and it's incredible. But I used it for a lot of mindfulness. So not just complaining, any kind of negative thoughts, self-talk, insecurities, like criticism, judgment, anything that was negative. So you pick a bracelet or an elastic, or you could use a watch, you could really use anything. You put it on one wrist, and when you catch yourself having that negative thought, you're going to take it off and switch it to the other wrist. And the whole purpose is that you're taking the subconscious pattern that's just happening without you realizing it.
On autopilot.
It's on autopilot. You're taking it, you're creating a conscious awareness by physically making a change to the bracelet. And then you're going to implant in a more positive thought. So when I first did this, I was in Bali and I was criticizing myself, my body image. I would catch myself really speaking negatively. And every time I would do that, I would grab the bracelet and I'd say a more positive, loving thought to myself, switch the bracelet over. And your goal, which is intimidating for a lot of people, is to try and go 21 days without changing it at all, which means 21 days straight with no complaints.
Yeah.
Now, in this case, because we're doing a lot of negative thoughts, it's going to be really hard, but the goal is to just constantly bring that level down, so your self-talk, your
Yeah.
thoughts, your focus, your energy is all becoming more positive.
I love that, and I challenge all of us right now. I want to do it. Let's set that goal.
Yeah.
For anyone, like, yeah, I invite everyone to do that, because I'm sure with you, Cara, even though you've like nailed a lot of this mindset stuff, you're still human and it's still there. So let's actually do that. Like episode 1, perfect place to start. Let's put those bands, bracelets, wrists, watch.
Put your wrist on.
Put your wrist on your wrist. And then take it off. To do that, and let's see the progress, and let's check back in. You know, when you've done it for 21 days, everyone, please write in and like let us know your experience.
Yeah, even make sure you tag us on stories on Instagram and share, like, I'm starting day 1, you know, I'm in this, I'm working on, maybe you pick one focus, maybe it's just self-talk, maybe it's complaining,
just body image,
maybe it's just body image, like pick one thing if that's less intimidating, but then share it with us, tag us on Instagram, and let us know. And as you continue doing this journey, share your updates with us, and also feel free to share with others, because I think what I found so helpful was sharing this tool with people around me, so that then they would catch me criticizing or complaining and say, oh, Cara, like
accountability,
like
helping each other out.
You know, you're beating yourself up again, and then I'd be like, oh, right. And so we can work on this together to keep shifting into a more positive place.
That's such a perfect way to wrap that up. Thank you so much. And I can't wait. This is so exciting. This is really so cool to be doing this with everyone. I love it. So I mean, next week we're actually touching on, we're diving into past struggles and limiting beliefs. That's right?
Past struggles and all the things that come along with them. So hope to see you guys there.
And thank you so much for listening and showing up and doing this for yourselves and for everyone around you. So we're so thankful, and we already love you. We're all in this together, and that's the biggest, you know, this the biggest, most important part of all of this is to be in this together and to help each other elevate and have better lives together, to find that peace, to find that confidence, to find the freedom, and to have a good life. And have a good time doing it. So make this a joyous journey. Like, don't call it homework, call it home fun. I'm going to change those words.
Good call. Enjoy the journey, and just remember, like, it's all possible, so keep making those strides forward, right? It's progress, but progress gets you there.
Exactly. Little by little, step by step, and eventually the shifts happen. And that's what we want.
Yay.
Amazing.
So see you guys next week.
See you next week. Lots of love.